So I knew her in my previous job a few times. We were in some similar meetings. So. I worked with Lane Johansson before too on some park projects. So saw Kurt here. Worked with Scott a little bit in my previous job as well. So excited to be here. Lots going on.
Well, welcome in. PRAC just bringing people together, and you're tired, and they're still stuck with all these
Recording
people.
in progress.
So, welcome in, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah, recording is starting. Do I need to restart anything?
Nope.
Or are we okay?
Nope,
Okay.
we're running with it.
We are going to keep going. From our new member, welcome to the next part of our business. Always the fun chair and vice chair appointment. That'll be the next part that we have. Corey or Scott or Tom, does anyone want to go over the rules on this for the members that are on, or how this process works, or do you want me to talk through it?
Well, it's kind of up to the committee, and Tim, as the current chair, I think you kind of lead the process. But yeah, you're required to elect your chair and vice chair, and essentially it needs to be an open process, right? So you'll have to do nominations and voting in the open session. So however you want to walk through that is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Are there any rules about serving as chair?
There are not. It's, no, you can serve as chair.
There's no term limit for
Good,
chair
good.
or
Yeah.
vice
Good
chair.
to hear.
Erin McClellan is on her way and asked that we hold voting until after she arrives. So it could be a thing that we have our presentation and.
Yeah, I will make a motion to push this agenda item to the end of the list until Aaron can arrive. Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second that.
I think there we go. I think as chair, you have control of the agenda, so
Okay.
you can probably just make that
I'll skip
decision.
the roll
to move it.
call.
Yeah, you can
amend.
reorder the agenda if you want.
Oh,
I saw her walk in as soon as I said it too. I was like, welcome in, Aaron.
terribly sorry.
It's okay. We were just at the chair and vice chair appointment, and I was going to move the agenda item to the end until you got here.
Very kind. It's basically the Twilight Zone in here, so just prepare yourself.
Yeah, you can hang out.
So I believe the way that it happened last year is that there were open nominations. We took those nominations and then did some verbal voting, and then I ran tallies. So if you want to do it that method again, that works for me.
Yeah, that sounds good. So we will leave it as open nominations. I'm your current chair, and then Ken is currently the vice chair. And as noted, Tim West has been a chair before. There's open nominations. If anyone would like to nominate a chair, or if anybody would like to be the chair, they can go ahead and go through it.
I would like to nominate Aaron as vice chair.
Thank you. I don't know if we need a second, but I'll second that.
Awesome.
And I would like to nominate Tim as chair again.
I'll second that nomination.
And I would like to nominate Ken Worcester as chair of the committee as well.
I'll second that.
Is there any other open nominations that anyone would like to have?
I guess I just have a question.
Please, Emily.
Tim, are you willing and wanting to continue on as chair?
Yes, I'm absolutely excited to be a chair for a second year. My thought was Ken is also another excellent choice, so I wanted to make sure there was another option that's there, especially with his background of experience. But I am willing and enjoyed being chair the past year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to keep it even, I'm also happy to nominate Ken as vice chair.
This is gonna be fun, you guys.
Every year.
I feel a tie coming on.
Every year that I've been here, please tell me we have at least 7. All right, we've got 7 votes. Good. There's no ties this time. Last year seemed way more
That was
stressful than
way-
it needed to be. I will.
I do have a question.
Please,
So,
go ahead.
and then it sounds like, so this is for a year term?
It is,
that
yes.
what it is?
Yep.
Okay.
And I will second Ken's nomination for the vice chair as well. So it's there. I will leave it open for a few more seconds in case there's any more nominations.
Super prepared today.
Okay, and then for the nomination, I think we should start with chair since his name is there for both. And then Corey, when we do the roll call, the person will just announce the person they would like to vote for, correct?
You guys can all go down the line. You can call out who you would vote for chair. We'll start with chair. And then I'll tally those. Then I think that we would do a motion to actually officially appoint that person as chair.
Okay,
Just another question.
yes, please.
Is it possible for each person to maybe say something about,
Stump a little bit, little campaign.
I have no
Or
background.
newbie, yeah.
I have no
for sure.
background on
Great
why
question
I
for your
would want
first
to vote
meeting.
one way or another.
I recall last year when Melissa Dio was like, I guess I'll vote for that person.
That's how I felt my first year too.
That's how it works almost every year, so.
Don't
we
know
definitely-
anything,
We
but
prefer blind information where we spin you and we have you, I'm sorry, I don't, Denise is. I'll talk about myself a little bit. So I've been on PRAC now for 4 years. This will be my second full term, but I was also on for a shorter term before. I've been the chair the last year. I've never been chair of this committee prior. A little bit of a background on why I joined PRAC and kind of my background. So I work currently for the state government, for the military department at Camp Withicum in Clackamette. I deal with Parks and Rec departments all across the state, North Clackamas Parks and Rec, pretty often actually, but also from Hood River all around. And I deal with city governments, officials, and have a good background in how a lot of different cities and government bodies in Oregon kind of handle parks and recreation. And that was a big reason of me wanting to bring those expertise to PRAC. I have 2 young children. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. One goes to John McLaughlin. One is at preschool right now, but she'll be at John McLaughlin next year. And it was just really wanted to be a part of a committee that I have a background in and just really help kind of shape Oregon City for a future that they can grow up in. It was part of my big ones. Before I lived here, I lived in Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago, and I was part of different committees of this nature there as well. One of them was called the River Stewards. It was a volunteer committee that assisted Parks and Rec, and we cleaned rivers, creeks, pathways. We're like a canoeing club, basically, that had saws, and we cleared up, and we did a lot of things on the weekends for that. So I did a lot of volunteer work prior to coming here and working with different government bodies. Yeah, and that's my background.
And so I've lived in Oregon City for about 7 years, 6 or 7 years, I can't remember, somewhere in there. And basically, I had worked for the city of Wesley, and I was the Parks and Recreation Director there for about 40 years. And finally decided that I wanted to serve the community I live in. And so that was why I opted to join the board. I've got a lot of experience in park development, planning, that sort of thing, so especially for Parks and Rec. And, you know, we built 20-some parks in Westland while I was there. And, again, just wanted to serve the community that I live in.
Okay, for vice chair too. My name's Erin, and this is my second full year at PRAC. I worked with Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation District for several years, but definitely on more of the administrative side. I led their communication and marketing development, as well as some of their community involvement. And so from there, I've moved into healthcare, and I work with the American Heart Association very closely, and I work with Providence and Providence Health Insurance. And I also have a small child. She's 7. I've lived in Oregon City for several years. I've lived in 4 or 5 homes within 3 miles on the top of the hill. I really like where I live. And for me, parks and recreation are something that everybody loves and everybody uses, and they don't quite take that next step to ensuring that it's there for the next generation. And so being able to be a part of this committee and seeing how things work, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, but really seeing how this group of people can help influence the work that these wonderful people do, and the work of our city council has been really special to me.
Thank you. That was, I think this is something we should have as mandatory every year. I think that's
That was great, yeah,
thing to have.
really good addition.
Yeah.
So thank you, Karen. That was excellent. Any other comment before we move forward to voting? Okay, so let's do a vote for the chair of the committee. We will go through. The options are Ken or myself for the committee. So say
Which is Tim.
Tim. Yes, of course. Thank you.
Tim lead, Tim L.
We'll start with you, Karen.
Karen, please.
I get to be the
Sorry.
beginning.
You thought sitting to the side
Or
was
we
a
can
good
start with
thing.
Kevin. You guys are vote too.
Karen has started a lot. We're going to start with Kevin on the
Let's go,
side, and
Kevin.
we'll go this way.
Brand new.
I'll go with Ken.
For president, right?
This is
For chair, yep.
For chair. I'll vote for Tim.
I'm Erin, I vote for Tim.
Emily, I'm going to open it up for you if you'd like to go next.
I vote for Tim as well.
I'm going to vote for myself as Tim.
I vote for Tim.
Well, I'll vote for Tim as well.
Very nice.
I'm already available.
All right. We will do the next voting for the vice chair. This will be between Ken and Aaron. And then I will pass both of the chairs at the same time, and we will start from the same side and go in the same order. Kevin?
I'm gonna go with Ken again.
I will vote for Ken.
I'll vote for myself, Erin.
I will vote for Ken.
I'll vote for Aaron.
I'm voting for Aaron.
Emily,
you're last.
this is a big one.
Erin as well, thank you.
All right. The votes are in. Our chair is Tim Lanehart. Our vice chair is Aaron McClellan.
All right.
Do you guys both accept these positions?
I do.
Yes, I accept the position.
Excellent. Do I still do a roll call for that?
No, I
Or
think you
that's-
just,
okay,
yeah, that
once
voice vote
acceptance
should be
is-
good, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Got a record of that, so we're good.
I'm not
Excellent.
usually late.
Okay. Well, I guess I will continue the meeting now that I am chair.
Go
I
for
didn't
it.
know if I would be or not. We will move to 4B, the Courthouse Liberty Plaza Development. And I believe we have a presentation.
And if I can, yeah.
Scott, go ahead.
While the presenters are coming up, I'll just give the committee a quick kind of background and a little more context on this. So Seth Henderson is with Level Development Northwest, and Kurt Lengo is Lengo Hansen Landscape Architect, who is working with working with Seth.
Thank you.
And so you are probably aware that the county has vacated the old courthouse downtown, and subsequently they have sold that property. Seth's firm has acquired that and has an agreement with the county. I'll let Seth speak to this, but there's going to be some redevelopment of the site of the courthouse and what's going to happen there. But adjacent to that is Liberty Plaza, which is currently in that ownership, but part of the agreement to acquire that former courthouse property was that would be essentially given over to the city for us to operate as a park or a downtown open space, similarly to what it's used for. And, you know, the city would look to treat that as a park and program it and continue it as an open space as it's been. Seth and Kurt will speak to this more specifically, but one thing I want the committee to be aware of is the way that currently the way that the agreement is that the property would just be given in its current condition to the city. And what Seth is proposing and has met with us, we've had a couple of meetings with staff, including with our city manager and others with the city and myself, is proposing to make improvements to that as a private developer. And so looking for something that's along the lines of a private-public partnership, but is in exchange for the improvements is seeking credits on parks SDCs that would be paid at some point in the future as part of the development. So, there's SDCs attached to any new development, and of course we administer park SDCs. And so, what Seth is seeking from the city is some arrangement whereby we would credit back some of those SDCs that would be paid in lieu of the improvements. We haven't worked out the agreement. There is no agreement yet, but it's a concept that we're discussing. And part of this process is having some public communication and public discussion about this. And PRAC is the first line of that. And so this is being presented publicly. Well, it's been to the concept has come to the city commission as well, but sort of in more detail about Liberty Plaza specifically. This is really kind of the start of a little bit more conversation about that. But at some point, what we would be looking for is PRAC input and direction, and perhaps some motion or recommendation that would help us make some decisions about where this goes. But tonight is more about just introducing the topic and kind of setting the table, if you will, and then opportunity for you to ask questions of the developer. It's their proposal. And the city, understanding that the city is involved and engaged in conversations as well with them. So this is kind of that introductory opportunity for you to understand that. But at some point, as I said, we would be seeking your input and some recommendation on whether we want to proceed and whether we want to pursue this more formal agreement at some point with it. So happy to help fill in additional information that might come up, but I'm going to turn it over. It's really your presentation, so.
Can everybody hear me okay? Does that work? Terrific. So first off, Scott, thank you. That was a great introduction. Thank you for everything that you guys do. The city operates well because of everybody that contributes their time to it. So thank you for volunteering to all of you. Congratulations, new members. Congratulations, officers. If we've never met before, my name is Seth Henderson. I'm the co-founder of Level Development Northwest. I'm also on the boards of the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Oregon City Association, the Oregon City Business Alliance. For 6 years now, I've been trying to bring housing to Oregon City, and it's a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. We're here predominantly tonight because we've negotiated a disposition and development agreement, a DDA, with Clackamette County. And a component of that was we wanted to make sure that we were purchasing a property that includes kind of that back parking lot, the courthouse, and Liberty Plaza. That Liberty Plaza would eventually become a park for Oregon City. It is the gathering place downtown. If you've been to a First City celebration, a wine walk, trick or treat, that location is utilized for every event downtown. So what we are hoping to show to you this evening is our initial concept. And as Scott mentioned, we've met with Scott and Tom and kind of talked to them. We've also gone before the CIC, the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. I think we have 3 other neighborhood associations in the next 3 or 4 weeks. This is in the Two Rivers Neighborhood Association. We presented to them 3 times. And where we sit right now is we're finishing up our due diligence. So we actually do not own this property yet. We haven't closed on it. Most likely we'll close on it probably early February. So in the DDA, as Scott stated, we are required to do a lot adjustment, make it a separate parcel, and dedicate it to the city. We can do that today in its current condition and say, city, here you go, best of luck. If you have ever been to a tree lighting ceremony down there and seen carolers drenched to the bone trying to be jolly, there's a few improvements we think we can make to this park. For instance, having a stage which is actually covered, having a stage that has ADA access. Instead of bringing generators in, actually having electrical service there. So we're looking at ideally what could this be? And then in lieu of paying $300,000 to $400,000 in parks SDCs and another $600,000 to $700,000 for improvements, that we could actually put these park SDCs into the creation of a park, which is the entire intent of SDCs. And then we would probably chase a couple other grants. I think you and I are going to want to switch chairs because this says do not touch. Kurt and I was trying to count today. This is either the sixth or seventh development that we will have done together. Kurt is a tremendous landscape architect. He has experience in Oregon City that was important to us when we were putting together our team. And I'm really excited for him to present this initial concept and to get direct feedback from you in real time how we did. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
Yes, I am Kurt Lango with Lango Hanson Landscape Architects. It's great to be sitting here, and I have to admit that I've been sitting in this chair for almost 20 years now. We worked on Wesley Park back in the early 2000s. We had the opportunity to work and design on John Storm Park, Tyrone Woods Park. So we have been invested in the city of Oregon City for a number of years. And so when Seth first contacted me about this project, I just really jumped at the chance. I know this is your downtown living room. And when we began to talk about what could we do to actually improve the space, to make it even more loved than it is, more well-used, I thought it was a tremendous opportunity. So what I want to take you through tonight is some of our thinking, kind of the background, and then the current concept plan that we'd like to share. So I won't read through all of this, but I think some of the things are really important to us as we approach this project and just stepping back and thinking about what it means to the city. You know, it being the place where community gathers, where memories are made. Thinking about the history of Oregon City, and we know that there's some interpretive elements in the plaza now, and how as we develop the new plaza design, how we can begin to think about how that is reflected in the space, making it very welcoming, comfortable. And then really creating synergy, and we'll talk a little bit more about the apartments and what's happening next door, both between the open space and that development as well. Safety and security is very important. Materials, thinking about longevity and how it's maintained. Certainly programming, creating more opportunities for programming. And then the last is, as part of this DDA, there's a desire to use some of the salvaged elements from the courthouse in the project itself. We went back and did a little bit of searching for all the events that you've had over the years, and I think a lot of these are more recent ones, both the kind of the wine tasting, the tours that you have, certainly the tree lightings, but it's really a place for the community to gather. And as we began to think about the design, is how could we actually improve the space to make it better used really throughout the year. These are some photos. I think on the brightest of days, it still looks like it is well-loved and could be improved. These were taken a number of months ago. But things like the current stage not being ADA accessible, fully accessible, thinking about opportunities for more seating areas. Not only when you have events, but thinking about the other 300 days during the year, how the plaza is actually being used. So this is the existing condition. If you were to go out there today, there's still the county courthouse there. And this slide shows the kind of outline of the Liberty Plaza. As Seth mentioned, there is some of the parking in the back area is part of this project. There will be some spaces that McMinimans will still have next to the restaurant, but for the most part, the other parking will be devoted to this project, and then the Law Center will certainly remain. So this just gives you an idea of, and this is all very early on, but the footprint of the new building. The Liberty Plaza is what's shown in red right now. And then the other outline beyond that is actually what we are considering the new Liberty Plaza. So we're not decreasing the size, but we're actually making it a little bit more generous, and you'll see that in the coming slides. The other thing that I wanted to point out, which is really to Seth's credit, is the thought about having a retail establishment right next to Liberty Plaza. We all know that programming brings a lot of people in, but we're also really interested in how we do that on a day-to-day basis. Certainly having people living there, eyes on the plaza is really important, but do you think if there's a potential for a small coffee shop or some sort of retail that really gets people coming in and out as they go to the plaza? So this is the initial kind of concept idea, and I have a much larger plan, but we just wanted to kind of show it in context of the new building, the retail. You see the Law Center as well, and then this is the plaza property itself. So I'll just go back for a second. This is the existing plaza. It has the pergola right out in front, right next to Main Street. The concrete surface, the smaller stage, and then the courthouse to the left. So this is the design that we're proposing, and I'd like to just kind of walk you through it. One thing that was really important to us was thinking about the stage and accessibility and also its location. We felt providing an area that was more ample in terms of a stage area would allow you to have larger events, different types of events that would also be fully accessible. I don't think I have a pointer here.
That I'm not sure of.
Okay, that's fine. I'll use my verbal skills. So if
I can use my little arrow guy too.
Oh, well, if you look at to the right, upper right, where it says 67.5 and 68, that is actually a ramp that gets you up to this upper stage level. So similar to what you have right now, I think it's about maybe 3 or 4 steps. This stage will be slightly elevated, and then that will be at a fully accessible ramp that gets people up either along that ramp or up the stairs themselves. And then that stage itself, we are looking at having a canopy cover. I think in terms of the material, it will be something that is kind of very nice, very elegant, kind of fitting of this park. But as Seth mentioned, that then provides that kind of full covering throughout the year, both shade during the summer months, but also from inclement weather. And then we have some seating in the back, and it's also surrounded by planting. And what's really nice about this is that I'm sure you've seen this too when you're out there, when you're kind of along Main Street looking out, you don't see the river at all, but you do see a lot of large trees that are kind of in the distance. And so it's almost like that shelter or that canopy kind of frames that kind of distant landscape. If you go into the foreground, what you see over on the right are benches. You have a couple benches there right now, but we wanted to provide benches instead of all facing in the same direction, this kind of L seating, which actually kind of encourages conversation. And so these would be really kind of nice, kind of larger wood benches that you can actually sit on either side. So definitely places for people to sit in the sun. And so that's all south facing as you're looking towards the center of the plaza. And then if you go over to the retail area, you can imagine there being retail entrances there. We're showing trees, additional benches, and lighting as well. In the center of the plaza, We haven't quite got to that point, but we think that is a wonderful opportunity for interpretive paving that could recall the history of the site of Oregon City, something I think very kind of wonderful and tactile as you're kind of looking at it and close to it. We've also, as part of the Main Street development, there's a tree that has seen better days along that frontage, so we're removing that tree and actually kind of opening up that view. Safety and security is really paramount. Question you probably are thinking is, where does the holiday Christmas tree go? So what we're showing right now is being able to put in kind of an underground, both kind of drainage, a potential watering system, and putting the Christmas tree here in this location. We're thinking that these benches actually might be movable to be able to give you a little bit more room around the tree. And then those larger white squares are potential locations for tents. So what's really nice about this is you could have a performance during the Christmas celebration, but you also are able to have views of the stage.
Can I jump in
Oh,
quickly?
please do, yes.
So just a couple other things. Top left, you'll see the stormwater planner. So based on current code, you've got to treat stormwater that's currently not occurring. So we've got that trench drain you'll see. So just all the stormwater from the site will end up going and being treated at that location. Mike, there's a new seal for the city this year, is that correct?
Working on that.
Okay, well, there's a nice round circle right there. I'm just saying. And if any of you know Dee Dee, she had suggested at the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association, what if that Christmas tree was actually a living tree? And my only concern with that is it does take up space and limit some of the space there, but I promised her that I would bring that up to you, so I'm fulfilling my commitment.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
No, and I appreciate that, because speaking of trees, there are the existing trees. I believe there may be red maple trees and a couple evergreen trees that are right next to the Law Center. So we're keeping those trees. Part of that Law Center has a blank wall. We're thinking about adding more trees there. Certainly, there could potentially be a mural down the line, but at this point, we're kind of concentrating on the plaza itself. So this just shows the last slide is without that tree, and we're excited to share this with you. I think through this lens, as we're trying to take a well-loved space and make it even better, and thinking about the next 50, 100 years and what this could mean for the city.
Did you have the slide of the historical elements?
Yes, right here. So these are the historical elements, and through this agreement, these are required to be saved and somehow integrated into the open space.
Go ahead.
Well, those people there are real people. They're 5 feet tall, and so you can see that these pieces are certainly large. And so what our approach has been, and we've shown them in the small little plan view rectangles, is we kind of spread them out through the plaza, and so that they're not all in one location. And they are kind of visually accessible, and that they're in the planting areas, but you can't go up and touch them.
Can you go back to
Yes.
one of them? So SHPO in 2020 did a survey of this site. They denoted the elements that they considered of historical significance. So that's the double oak doors, the bronze around the doors. There's actually 4 of the American Eagles. There's 2 on 8th and 2 on Main. It says the scholar here. I call them the Illuminati guys because they're holding an obelisk with a seeing eye. But I was corrected by the mayor. Apparently that is Mercury. So I was impressed. Up on the building, they don't look that big. And 6 feet, 8 inches. So once you actually move these down to be interacted with, they're significant. And so there's 7 of those elements, 4 eagles, 2 Mercury, 1 scale of justice, and then the other components I had talked about. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Scott, do you have anything you want to add into this? Sorry, it looked like you were.
Well, again, so the proposal is, what's being discussed is, doing the improvements privately and then giving those over to the city with the SDC credits. And one thing I want to mention to you for consideration, so your input on this will be valuable. If there is such an agreement to do this, that has to go to the city commission for approval ultimately. But you're a part of that recommendation process. And what we would need to do is, if there were going to be SDC credits and an agreement to do the project in this manner, is we would have to negotiate with Seth and his team the level of, or the amount of what credit would be eligible for this, right? So SDCs can only be used for growth-related development, so we'd have to determine what amount of this would be considered growth or additional capacity added. So they're proposing to expand the site, they're proposing to add amenities and do things that aren't there right now. So those would be considered growth or expanded use, and those can be eligible for SDCs. We'd have to negotiate how that would be applied. But what you're essentially doing with this type of development, and I don't know that we've really done much of this or any of this in Oregon City, certainly with my history, I don't recall doing any such arrangement. But this is something that does happen with parks and rec agencies and private development, as parks can get built by private sector and given over with credits. It requires a careful consideration of your capital improvement plan. So we would have to go back, and of course we've recently, for the new members, you're not aware of this, but this committee has over the last few or several months have been discussing our capital improvement plan over the next 5 and 6 years, and how we're going to apply the funding that we have available, including SDCs. So we would have to amend that plan, because our current capital improvement plan and our SDC plan does not include this project. That can be amended, and again, PRAC would be part of that discussion. So what you're essentially doing by considering this type of project is, or this type of arrangement, is you're kind of moving this project up to the front of the line, saying, we're going to apply the SDCs that are collected on this site now. We're not going to collect the SDCs, put them in our SDC bank, do all of our other projects, and figure out when we would improve Liberty Plaza. The developer's proposing, let me do that for you now. Possibly that could be done at a lesser cost on the private side than it costs the city. So that kind of accelerates the whole process, and it perhaps saves the city some money in the long run. And that's the idea of this. So that's what you're helping us to consider, and ultimately, if that moves forward, to help the commission make that decision. And so I guess right now is your opportunity to ask any more questions of the developer while he's here. And then we would need to decide if this committee has interest in pursuing this or recommending this to move forward. And then we would have some work to do, and ultimately kind of considering how we'd bring that process back to you.
Thank you,
May I
Scott.
add 2 quick things?
Seth, please go ahead.
Yeah, so what we've actually proposed is Kurt will get paid, the general contractor will get paid, the subcontractors will get paid, we'll manage it for free. So we are doing this in sequence with our building, knowing that this is going to be amenity not only for our building, but for the entire downtown, right? And there is absolutely the option of us just, if you guys say, we don't think you're going in the right direction, we'd rather those SDC dollars be spent on something else, there's absolutely the option of us just breaking this out as a separate parcel and dedicating it, and it gets in line with the other projects. But we wanted to propose another option if it was attractive to the city.
And tonight, just for point of clarification, we're just discussing this, we're not making a motion, correct?
That's really up to the committee. I mean, you could go as far as making a motion, but recognizing this is your first time hearing this proposal, so you probably need some time to digest that, and you might ask for further information to be brought back to you for considering that. So it's really up to you. You could, without maybe a formal motion, you could at least give some general direction if there seems to be a consensus, like we're interested or not in the, kind of moving this along. But that's really up to you. But staff, I'm certainly not anticipating that you're going to be prepared to make a formal recommendation on this, because you're just hearing this tonight.
Excellent. We will open this up for comment from the committee. Tim West.
Okay, so one option that I didn't hear is Liberty Plaza something that you could have torn down completely and built all over it another 5 stories?
We could have negotiated that with the county.
Yeah,
Being the vice chair of DOCA's board and their office looking right onto this, that would have been a very difficult discussion. Not to mention, this is the one gathering place downtown.
That's
And
right.
so, yes, to answer your question, we could have developed the entire site. Also, under CFAC, we didn't have to do any parking at all. But we met with the downtown businesses, we said, what do you want? They said, residential, bring customers to our door, retail, something different than restaurants, give us some variety, give us Liberty Plaza, and give us parking. We're actually doing a structured parking level under the building. Can anybody else name any structured parking anywhere in Oregon City? The rents don't support it. In fact, when the appraisal was done for our project, it was negative $2.6 million. So this is a passion project. My kids aren't going to college based on this project. We are doing this because we think this is what's right for downtown Oregon City. And I guess that's a very long answer to a short question.
no, I think it's very impressive. I think that this looks like a tremendous improvement to the current Liberty Plaza. I think it's very generous of you guys to go ahead and donate the resources to improve this that the city doesn't have the funds for right now, and that it will be enjoyed by all of Oregon City residents for forever moving forward. So I thoroughly support this program, and I support giving the SDCs in exchange for this.
Okay.
I have a question.
Aaron, go ahead.
Thank you. Scott, this is actually for you, and it's probably my misunderstanding. Did we already plan on the SDCs that would be coming from this group to go into that group, into the amount that we've talked about towards capital improvements, or would these be just additional SDCs that we didn't necessarily see coming?
That's a great question. I appreciate that question, Aaron. The answer is a little squishy. We don't, I think this project wasn't probably on our radar, frankly, and the collection of the SDCs,
Okay.
until somewhat recently with the process that's happened, that it's going to be turned into a residential and retail development. So I don't really think we've per se forecasted specifically for this project. So, however, in our sort of our general, when we forecast for our future SDC collections and we budget for those, we're just kind of anticipating general development trends in both housing and commercial development. But I can't say we specifically anticipated these SDCs. But what the city would be considering is foregoing the collection of at least part of those SDCs, whichever amount could be credited to this project. We would be foregoing those to other projects that are already on our capital improvement plan, right? So that's the consideration that you really have to think about is, are you willing to do that so that you can get this project done in the capacity that's being proposed? And, there may be some advantages to that, but there also may be some downside, which is those SDCs then aren't going to go to other projects. I would say this, though, the projects that we've lined out in our SDC plan and our capital improvement plan that we've presented to you in the last few meetings, the revenue, a lot of that revenue is already there. We have a fund that has SDCs already collected, and it continues to grow. So I don't think my professional opinion about that is I don't think foregoing these SDCs is really going to cause any great harm to the project list that we'd already put together. It might cause us a little bit of shifting of some of the prioritization, and some of the timeline might move out just a little bit, but I don't see it as a significant impact. I hope that answers your question.
That was a very helpful answer. Thank you. I'm going to follow up, and I see that you have a question. I promise I'll let you talk. I see something like this, and I see our current downtown, and I see how Liberty Plaza currently is when there isn't an event happening. And so I wonder, with something this lovely proposed, the upkeep of something like this in the current area is there concerns from the park department if we do take this over about ensuring that that level of, that kind of this level of prestige would be able to be maintained in that particular area?
Yeah, so part of this consideration is, and we would continue to converse with Seth and his team about specifics of the development, and we had already had at least one preliminary conversation that engaged our maintenance considerations. So we've already made some recommendations in the preliminary discussion about, from a maintenance perspective, it would be better to do this versus what you've proposed. And so I will say they're being very collaborative on that and considering some of our needs. It does add to our maintenance challenge, but I think this particular site, it's hardscape mostly. It's, we're seeking for it to be the lowest maintenance possible within the proposed idea of development. So I don't think it adds a great burden to the maintenance, but it certainly does draw from our existing, maintenance resources. We don't get additional maintenance capacity or money because of this development. So there's a little bit of that, but I don't think it substantially would negatively impact our ability to maintain other parks.
Okay.
And if I could add to that, as part of our parks work with the City of Oregon City, we've always met with the Parks Maintenance Department, and that's really important to us because it's not only about what is being designed, but it's how it's being maintained. And certainly what we see with these improvements is actually maybe make it even easier to maintain in terms of the type of wood we're specifying for the benches, the types of planting that we're planting. So certainly it's a partnership that we would continue to kind of work with the city on.
One other piece to that question or that issue is if the city took this over and operated it or managed it like we do parks, we would then also be able to generate income from rentals and events, just like we do at other facilities. So theoretically, there's future income from this site that then goes back into our Parks and Rec budget, which ultimately it supports our maintenance and management effort. So
I would hope that since the courthouse is currently off the tax roll, that some of those property taxes eventually make it to you. Yes.
all determined by our budget committee and our city commission, but yes, that's a fair point.
Excellent. Ken, go ahead.
So I have a couple questions. Are some of this, or portions of this plaza are probably SHPO mitigation? Is that correct or not?
What?
You want me to answer that?
Yes.
Yeah, so the county sat down and did a mitigation discussion with SHPO. SHPO doesn't have an enforcement arm. They cannot enforce any requirement for reuse of this. So we had a discussion with the county, and it was, hey, here's the survey, here's the components that we think we can reuse either in the new building or in this adjacent plaza. We don't know, if you look at Mercury all the way to the east, you'll see that's broken up into 4 pieces. So we are actually concerned about what the condition of that will be. So the DDA actually states, to the best of our ability, we will try to reuse all these components, but we have a specific mason who's going to come in and try to take off all of those pieces. So yes, voluntary mitigation and splitting it between what's going to go into the new building and what's going to go into this plaza.
Okay, thank you. And then do you anticipate a wash kind of in the SDCs so that, whatever SDCs are going to be generated from the property would be enough to cover the improvements or our portion of that? So we're not going to be dipping into the SDC fund outside of this development?
Kurt has told me he is an expert at grants. Okay. So whatever portion we agree to, the city is contributing of the SDCs that we're paying, right? So if this project doesn't occur at all, then the city never gets those SDCs. Right. If this project does occur and we do nothing at the plaza, we would be writing a check from our investors to the city. So Kurt's best guess was about $1 million. Our general contractor is thinking about 700,000. I'm gonna lean towards Kurt's experience. The SDCs are not gonna pay for that.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be 100.
so we're gonna have a ton of work to go out and get grants. We will probably request a Metro Enhancement Grant, but I think that caps out at 50,000, even if we get that. So we're probably chasing 4 or 5 grants, and then there may actually be a portion that our investors are paying.
Sure.
And we're saying, you know what, this is actually an asset to our development by having this adjacent, and that's how we motivate them to contribute. About 8.7 million of this $25 million development.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is, of course, then that really doesn't affect the current SDC plan that we have right now. So it's money coming in, money going back out, but it's not money that's already allocated to a different project. So there's a.
And I'll add to what Seth just said is from the staff perspective, my understanding and my experience with these types of agreements, SDC credits can only be given based on the amount that would be collected, right? So your answer, your question is excellent, Ken, but that wouldn't be able to exceed that amount. In fact, I mentioned earlier, we would have to explore and examine the eligible amount of those SDCs that we could even apply to this, because it's not 100% SDC fundable, because it's already existing, and it's only the part that's expanding capacity and whatever that number is. So it would only be within the amount that we would collect from this project specifically. So I'm agreeing with Seth. He's said more than I would have said about other ways they might fund this, but from the SDC piece, the SDC credits can only be within the amount that would be collected. And it's going to be less than that because it's not all eligible.
Yeah, I think because they changed the rules on SDC credits a few years ago, where developers could actually acquire more and then go try to sell them to other developers, and I think that's all gone by the wayside. But if right now the city doesn't own the property, correct? It's county, so it's actually an additional, it's additional property. So theoretically, then all of that could be counted as or potentially SDC eligible as well.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that we weren't taking other SDCs to fund this.
Yeah, that's not what I do not anticipate it would come in, that we'd be dipping into other portions of our SDC fund, right? But this is all subject to agreement that would have to be worked out, and we haven't made that agreement yet, so.
Thank you.
Open to other comments. Kevin, please.
So I'd just like to say, I've been involved in these public-private partnerships before, and I love them. They've always had a lot of value to them because the contractors already have the equipment out there. They already have mobilized. It saves money. So I'm a big fan. Are there open space requirements with your development? None?
Done.
Okay. That was the other question I had.
Okay, please, Tim.
So I noticed that there's no room in here for like one of the Portland porta potties. Is that something that you would add to this at all to address the general public?
That would probably be a question for Scott and Tom and probably you guys. I mean, the reason we're here is to have a discussion around what makes sense for this location. Now, for a long time, the downtown had none, right? And now there's one near the elevator. So you're in a better position now than you were previously. Does there need to be one here? That is a lot of cost and maintenance going forward. DOCA has the contract with the city, and there's a lot of effort that goes into keeping those facilities clean and supplied. And one of the things that we were really trying to do is provide the best possible product without saying, here you go, and oh, by the way, you're gonna be paying $500,000 a year maintaining this going forward. So, our goal was to try to produce something that's bulletproof so that the city didn't feel like we were shackling to them something they were gonna have to maintain at a high dollar value. So whether or not there would be a Portland Lou here is probably a discussion for you guys to have. And you let us know if that's a critical element.
Kevin, please.
I'm gonna put on my ex-work hat on here. I would not recommend a porta potty at this site. I would recommend a porta potty pad at this site. So if you have an event that you can bring in porta potties for specific events that you need them for, and then not have a maintenance nightmare of a restroom down there. I already have some reservations about having some benches down there that people may or may not be sleeping on, so.
Kurt did a really good job. Just if you guys think about your standard 10 by 10 tents for events, this is, kind of how they could lay out in this space.
Right. And then, I'm sorry.
Aaron, go ahead.
And you mentioned that you have a connection with the Downtown Oregon City Association. And tell me a little bit about their reaction with this particular space. I know they hold many things there right across the street. It would probably be a rental space at that point if we were to take it over. Is that something that they're still interested in, or are they supportive of this particular idea?
So they actually wrote a recommendation letter for our original RFEI response to the county.
Wonderful.
They love this idea because they know the different things that have inhibited their ability to provide the best events. For instance, not having a covered space, not having electrical service. So they see something like this and they go, terrific. They are concerned about the events that take place when we're doing construction. So we sat down with them and said, okay, what if we do abatement and demo during January, February, March? First wine walk is in April. We'll make sure that it's opened, it's fenced off. So they're more concerned about having access to it during construction, which we have made sure will occur. And then having the ability, so right now they would work with the county to rent it for use. They just want to make sure they have that ability in the future. So if the city owns it, I would hope that it's at least as easy of a process as it was with the county, if not easier. So,
Right.
yeah. And the other element is they're excited about investment in downtown because it'll increase all the property tax value, or all the property values, the assessed values.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts. I wanted to give the rest of my
Thank you.
committee time that were there. My first question is for Kurt, and you may have it in here and I just might not understand it. Can you let me know how much square footage this is increasing from the original plan it has now, both in the total picture of it and also in the stage space that you have?
I don't have a square footage number right now, but that's something that we can get to you. But this slide shows the outline of the existing Liberty Plaza. And so we are increasing both in some of the hard surface space, but also the planting as well. But yeah, it's certainly larger, but we can provide that number.
Okay, thank you. Second thing that I had, and this just has to do with just the general plan for what it would look like when you update it. Is there any, and again, this could be something that Parks or Scott or Tom would want to reference on, is there any activities we can put in there so it's more used, so that people actually go to it and use it? Now, I'll give examples. If you go to the Beaverton downtown, they have a whole area that's squared off. It has simple stuff there for kids to run around, to do things, to interact. So where if you're waiting for a restaurant, it makes you want to go there and enjoy the downtown. It's not just sitting and just waiting for the activities. There's activities there that draws you there and wants you to be a part of the community. Hillsborough has, and I was trying to find the exact area. It has a tiered area, and there's one area that has a stage, then it has a water, park area that they close off and shut down for when there are activities. I'm not saying we need that there. I'm just trying to say ideas of people are enjoying that space as itself, and then they bring in that business when they go out. So when I look at this plan that's here, I just see benches that people will walk by. I think it'll look beautiful, but are there things that can really attract or activities that we can bring into this that are permanent and wouldn't be vandalized, which is always the second part of this, that people actually enjoy and want to go and kind of make it think of more of a park. That's just more open for ideas, but just with the plan, I would want to see something like that if we're taking on, we're at this beginning stage of it. Third portion that I would have, and this would be for Scott, I guess, is before making a motion, what I would really want to see presented to the committee is what our capital improvement, what that would look like, what that would do with our scope, what that would do with the total SBC budget as best as we can. Just thinking of the Oregon Parks master plan, what the public and the citizens of Oregon City have voted for with the priority of this, I wouldn't say it was ranked high anywhere on that to adjust Liberty Plaza. So thinking of where I would put this in the priority, I would reference the master plan a little bit, but also I think we have to take advantage when we have these types of savings financially. So those are just some things that I would want to budget for when we get the actual numbers and what it would do with that project plan that we have that does actually follow the master plan that we've agreed on. So those are my main thoughts on it.
Yeah, and if I can just comment on that last point, I appreciate that. That's exactly what we would need to go back and we'd work closely with the developer on, okay, let's start to kind of pencil this out in terms of what the specifics of the improvement are going to be. And then we, on the city side, would have to go and analyze the SDC eligibility. We would bring that information to you and also kind of how that reprioritizes our capital improvement plan and how that affects other projects. So that's exactly what we would be doing. I think the best outcome tonight would be just to get a general sense of, does this committee support this idea conceptually, and do you want us to go and expend time on that? That'll help us to decide how to bring information back to you.
Perfect, thank you, Scott. Any other comments?
I have a
Please
couple
go
of
ahead.
things, just real quick. Karen, did you? Who's responsible for the maintenance on the stormwater planter?
Going forward, that would be the city, right? Because that is the facility for the property they now own.
So is the stormwater for the building or for the park?
It is for the park. There will be a separate stormwater facility off the Plaza property. That's right where you see new building on the slide, right to the right of that. That green area is the stormwater planter.
Okay, so that's for the hard surface in the park.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the smaller square right to the upper left of Liberty Plaza, that is the stormwater plaza for the plaza itself.
Okay, and then the cafe tables outside the retail, is that going, I thought I heard you say they want less restaurants down there? This would be for the park, not for the retail?
No. So the space that we are actually committing would probably, we're gonna extend it up top and then pull it back so it runs just to the west of where that trench drain is.
Okay.
And we are not proposing a restaurant there. That's actually broken into 3 smaller spaces, and ice cream, bakery, florist, grocer, not in that order is what we've been told to find.
Just a note to what you said earlier, Tim, just a note to what you said earlier, Tim, very successfully out in Cedar Hills, when the Salt and Straw went in, they also built a very small but very active splash pad right outside their establishment. And I have known many people to go visit the splash pad and also visit the retail Salt and Straw ice cream, and then by association go visit all the other retail places there. But I believe that's similar to what you were suggesting, maybe?
Yeah, it was more of just, I'm in downtown a lot. We tried the new sushi restaurant last week, which was awesome. We tried the new Italian bistro a couple weeks ago. That's been excellent. It's just, whenever I walk by Liberty Plaza, when I look at this, my first thought is, this isn't gonna, my kids will run in, they'll jump on the benches or up on the stage or whatever that's there. But when I go to other cities and I see some things they have, there's activities there. They want to spend time there. They want to go to the retail shop and sit there and, let their it's not just for kids, it's for everyone that's there. But when I look at the plans, I would want that to be something that's there. I'm not specifically saying a splash pad would need to be there. I know
I'm
the
not
amount of
either.
work, plumbing, cost that would add to that. And I don't want to extend it that part, but I would challenge to have something that brings an activity, something new to that area that just refreshes it, that people can be like, this is awesome, we can go do this, or just, it doesn't have to be anything major, but, and I'm not even presenting anything of an idea of what that could be, but just challenging the design on, I think there can be some element of that in there that isn't just what it was before, if it's slightly bigger, but actually something that's new, that this is a new part of downtown that people should be proud of and that people want to go and just hang out at.
Well, we appreciate that comment and certainly take it to heart, because I think we want this not only to be a plaza for events, but we want this to be a place that people feel comfortable being in. They can go and use the retail, but it becomes an attraction to downtown. So I definitely appreciate the comments.
I think sorry to jump in.
Go ahead, Seth.
I think the biggest challenge is really, we tried to design it the best to the current uses, right? And so when you start throwing in more uses, does that impact the current uses? And how do you balance those things?
Yeah.
And you guys are the experts.
I mean, I am not a landscape architect who's designed many of these before, but just seeing how other cities that I've visited recently near here have done similar things, I think that there's a way to blend that, though I haven't found the way to kind of articulate that tonight and what that could look like, but I just, I think it's something that I want to support, that I think is excellent, that downtown needs so much, in my opinion, and adding a park in there is great, but just my own comment on it when we're kind of just talking through it.
Interactive
Yeah, I
or
just
active.
want to echo, Tim's comments a little bit.
Go ahead, Emily.
I think just looking at utility of the park, it's a beautiful design, and I feel like there's a lot of potential in the open space. I do, just wonder what elements could be integrated that would be low maintenance, long term, to kind of maybe increase the playfulness of the space, or make it more child friendly. I know there was a lot of master planning done in the past couple of years for Oregon City parks, and more child friendly spaces in public that were different than just kind of existing playground structures was something that kept coming up. Splash pads are always really nice. I would be interested to see what other committees that you're on, Seth, have input about the utility of that space, even more picnic tables, shaded areas. I don't know, I haven't spent a lot of time there year round, but what the sun situation is, it looks like there's still a lot of just very open space, and if the trees in a lot of the areas are newer, just having some areas that are out of the sun. And then I guess one other thing that I just wanted to say was thank you for coming and presenting. I haven't lived in Oregon City too long, about 5 years now, but in that time there's been a lot of developments, and I've never seen another developer make an effort to communicate and explain potential developments, not only to people in that neighborhood, but people who might want to visit that particular development location. Thank you, Seth, for always taking the time. I know you have kids and your evenings must be valuable, but thank you for taking the time to present to the neighborhood associations and all the committees that you have now and in the past.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Emily. Ken, go ahead.
I've received some comments about the potential of public access to the river as part of this project. Have you heard much about that, or is that possible?
So we, having many a conversation with Jerry Herman and the original 8th Street dock that was there, Kittleson did a study and said, we need about this much space. We are dedicating the space necessary to get access to the river. Awesome. We hope that at some point the city commission prioritizes access down there. It would be great to have an 8th Street dock. Can you imagine people coming and stopping and parking their boats and walking right up to the 50-yard line of downtown.
Yep.
I mean, that's tremendous. When the locks are working again, being able to take that up, yeah.
No, absolutely.
The potential is amazing. So yes, we absolutely, we didn't talk about it because we're
Right, it's
talking
outside.
predominantly about the parks.
Right.
But the building, we've actually shrunk that building. So you're gonna have additional view corridors downtown. The retail is just a single story. So you're gonna have this bookend now, and you're gonna have views across the river. I'm really excited, if you
Great.
can't tell.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
comes
good.
across.
Well, thanks for considering that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. Scott, do you have anything else you want to do before we go?
I guess before you wrap up your conversation, you did have somebody sign up to provide comment on this item, and
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
go back to that.
So yeah, if we can recognize Mike Mitchell, if you would like to come up and make public comment.
Sure.
And of course, Seth and Kurt, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Mitchell. I'm an Oregon City resident, and I'll just, to be clear, I'm a city commissioner, but this is just me talking. But this is kind of fun. My first involvement with city government was as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and Scott was the Parks Director at the time, so this feels like old times. I just want to throw out a couple of things. First off, I'm totally in support of this project. I think it looks terrific, and I'll do whatever I can to keep it moving. I just wanted to talk, and it's kind of been touched on, I want to make sure we're thinking, as if it goes forward, about little details, like accessible power in multiple locations for when we set up tents for special events. Lighting, and Tim, this gets a little bit to your comment. I spent 20 years in the lighting business, and one of the first things you learn is, especially in public spaces, people don't want to go into dark spaces. And Liberty Plaza is dark as a tomb at night. So we got to think about lighting, we got to think about power available in multiple locations for those events. The only small suggestion I would make is, to the design, is I was thinking about Pioneer Square downtown and the brick stair steps that become an amphitheater. And of course, this isn't a big enough space for that, and we want to keep it open to Main Street. But I was thinking along that Law Center wall where there's that raised planter, if you could do that along that side with something that is, say, 2 bleachers high and then a second lower bench so that people could sit there and watch. So just a small thing, but, and I'm going to echo what was said about how involved, how Seth gets the community involved in everything that he does. And as a city commissioner, I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. All right, committee can continue its conversation on the topic. If anyone would like to make a motion or general support of the proposal, we can do that at this point.
I'm not sure if a motion is needed at this point. However, I would give my full enthusiastic support for the Parks Department to please continue work on this. It looks very exciting. I think we've brought up some really interesting additions and thoughts to think through of how this space might come to life. And I also want to echo what Emily said, to thank you to both of you for coming here and spending and sharing this with us. It excites me very much to see this potential here.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments or general voice of support that they would like to have for this, or things that we would like to ask the Parks and Rec Department to bring to us?
I think I'm just in general supportive in concept, and so I just like, we don't have enough to really vote on, but I think just to acknowledge the efforts that the development team has made already, it's certainly impressive. And the fact that potential access to the river, which has been a really high priority, that did come out of the master plan.
Yes.
So I think to kind of not lose focus with that, and I did have one quick question. So the stage's only about 1.5 feet, is that right? Higher than the rest of the plaza?
2 feet.
2 feet, okay. So that doesn't, so that 2 feet, if you don't want to have stuff that goes up too much higher than the stage, but it would be nice to provide some of those planters and different things that would provide additional seating. But yeah, I think it's cool. It'll be interesting to see it move along.
Great. I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody in the committee, but I think that we can relay to the Parks Department that we do and are in support of this with more information and conversation in the future, if it's something to pursue. I know something that I would request before making any motion to take to City Commission is just what it would look like with our capital improvement project, where that would go, how the SDCs affect any budget, any other projects that we have, and then just more of a brainstorming session on some of the things we've spoken about in regards to design and activities, something along those lines that would be there. I mean, I think I would be very excited, and I think this looks like a beautiful place to add there, but I'm just hoping that I can see more there. Anything else on this?
I'm very supportive of it as well, especially since I heard about the little river angle thing that I had no idea about. That part is super cool. That even connects it even more to parks in my mind. So I just want to, and I know Scott knows this, he's really good with the maintenance staff and stuff, but just the long-term maintenance of all those art items down there, and you know, it's kind of a specialized thing to clean. It gets graffiti, so maybe there could be some, maybe Lango could put together some sort of a maintenance plan for the art pieces that are getting moved for the SHPO stuff, for the maintenance staff to help them out with that. But great project.
Excellent. Scott, do you have anything
Thank
else?
you.
So I think there seems to be enough of a consensus that this is helpful for us as staff to understand at least where your thinking is. Again, didn't expect you to make a formal motion about this. There was nothing, as you said, there's nothing to vote on yet. But what this gives us is enough sense of direction that we'll continue conversation with Seth and Kurt and look to bring back at the soonest opportunity that we can something that frames this up a little bit better for you in terms of what the impact might be on our capital improvement plan, and start kind of getting a sense of what the SDC credits might look like under such a proposal. So we'll just continue that work. We're going to talk a little bit further down the list on your next meeting is already kind of spoken for with a joint meeting with Natural Resources Committee, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So I think the soonest we could come back would be our March meeting, and we'll converse with Seth about timing and, you know, how this might kind of unfold more. But we'll definitely be bringing back information for you to consider more.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very
Kurt and
much.
Seth. All right. A fun conversation to kick off 2026. We can move on to our next order of business, the movies in the park lineup and approval. My kids will enjoy this one.
So,
Like our best agenda ever.
for those that don't know, Melissa Sebastian is our aquatic and recreation manager, and Movies in the Park falls under her management. And we've done a public process to vote and kind of select movies, and what we're doing tonight, Melissa's gonna give you that information. There's a staff report that you received as well, and kind of share that with you, tee up our movies lineup for 2026, and then also ask you to support the recommended list of movies. So, Melissa.
Yeah, so, you know, essentially what Scott just said, every year I have the opportunity to come to you guys to talk about the list of movies that we have the public vote on each year. And this year, we are also going to be announcing the top 4 that have been voted for. This year, we did separate it out a little bit.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, is it not on? The light's on.
Okay.
Is it not? I can go to this one. Is it, so this year we separated out. We had everyone pick the top 3 movies out of a PG category and a top movie from a PG-13 category. So we have 3 movies from the PG category that won, and 1 from the PG-13. And Corey is trying to pull it up.
Do you need a drum roll? I was so excited to vote on these. You guys did a wonderful job promoting that through social
Good.
media.
Good. I'll keep talking while you get that up. Our recreation program coordinator, RJ, is the one who really oversees this event, so he really pushed that and did that, so I do have to give a lot of credit to him for that.
Please do. Here we are.
There they are.
There they went.
Perfect.
So these are the movies that we are recommending to move forward with because these were the top movies that were voted for by the public. We usually post voting links all throughout our social media, flyers throughout our facilities, postcards, trail news, website. And each year we get hundreds of votes and there's usually clear winners every year. And these ones were really clear winners out of the list that we provided. The other note I will say is that we usually put together these lists based off of what movie licenses are available each summer, because not all movies have available licenses. And so we make a lot of educated, balances as far as, what we're gonna choose each year. So at this point, really this was me to inform you and provide you opportunity to provide any comment or feedback on these selections.
Excellent, we can open it up. I will start. You picked The Princess Bride, which is my second favorite movie, so I have nothing but positive praise for this entire selection that's there. And I wanted to echo what Erin had mentioned, that I saw it in social media, I saw it at the pool, and something when I started 4 years ago, and my big complaint is that I couldn't find anything, and I feel like it has just been a vast improvement over the past few years, so.
It really has.
Yeah, I do really like all the choices that are here, and I think it gives a good selection to all between animated and live action and PG and PG-13.
And did you say that, are we unsure still if all of these licenses are available, or do we know for sure
We
now?
know for sure the licenses are available.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent work.
There's no comment. Now, the next portion would be to make a motion to recommend to move forward with these movies for the movies in the park this summer.
So moved.
What was that?
So moved.
Oh, yes, motion. Can we, for the motion, can I get a second?
A second.
Kevin has seconded. Corey, can I get a roll call?
You sure can. Karen Burig,
Yes.
Ken Wooster,
Yes.
Tim Leonhardt,
Yes.
Erin McClellan,
Yes.
Tim West,
Yes.
Kevin Kaysen,
Yes.
and Emily Lisborg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes.
I have a quick question. When do you decide which parks, and how do you decide which parks the movie's going to?
So we have decided this year to do a rotation. Wesley, Lynn, Hillendale Park, Chapin Park, and the end of the Oregon Trail. We're still working on getting all the final paperwork in for that, but those are the 4 locations that we're looking at doing. We really try to spread it out throughout locations. Usually we're looking at parks that have decent storage for all the equipment from moving it back and forth, because it's our staff that are, moving around. And some areas of the city do tend to be windier than other areas of the city, so we kind of try to balance those locations, as well as lighting at night. We specifically are doing End of the Oregon Trail because we've started to do it as part of the National Night Out event, doing a movie at the end of that, and so that'll be the location for that evening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We can move on with our next point of business, which is our February joint meeting with NRC. Tom or Scott, go ahead.
I have a quick comment.
Yeah, go.
You guys are gonna see a bunch of stuff on your screen. I'm gonna start preparing some stuff for our item E. So disregard what I've got going on over here.
What's on your screen has nothing to do with what I'm
Yes, just listen to him.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about our next meeting, which is going to be a very exciting meeting. It's a joint meeting with the Natural Resources Committee. There's going to be 2 parts to this. So this is going to be at our regularly scheduled time on February 26th. We're still trying to nail down a final location, but we are considering holding this meeting at the Robert Lipke
building in the commission chambers, because we do anticipate that there will probably be a crowd for this. So there's kind of two components to this meeting. The first two items on your agenda are kind of the business that we need to address. Both of these items are commission goals. The first one is Bee City USA. It is a commission goal that Oregon City becomes a Bee City USA. Staff have been working behind the scenes to put together a plan, looking at what are our current practices, what are we doing to already meet these requirements, what do we need to do to meet the requirements in the future. We will be sending out the draft plan ahead of time to both you and NRC in the next few weeks to give you the opportunity to review, digest. That will also have the list of requirements from the Xerxes Society, which administers the Bee City USA program. Really, this is just your opportunity to provide us feedback, make sure we're headed in the right direction, and then we will take that feedback and recommendations, revise that, take that to City Commission for approval before we start the application process with Xerxes Society. Any questions on that one before we move on to Tree City?
Okay, leave it open for a moment in case anyone has anything they'd like to add in.
I just want to say I'm really excited to see this on the agenda. I know you've been working hard with the pollinator garden down at the pool. And yeah, I'm just really excited. It's something that we've been talking about at length on the NRC for at least probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years now. So it was really great to see that on the commission agenda. We've been hoping to see that. So yeah, really happy that you all are getting a proposal ready, and yeah, excited to see what the details of that look like. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can move forward on to Tree City.
Yeah, so the Tree City component has kind of two parts to it. One, the planning department, which administers the city's Tree City USA program, is just going to present an annual update of, we have been approved again as a successful applicant for the Tree City USA program. They'll provide an update on what we did the last year, what our plan is for the coming year. But then we're also going to talk about another commission goal, which is a tree canopy assessment. So, we don't have a lot of data. We do have some data throughout the city for trees, but we don't have a full picture of what our canopy looks like in the city, where are our significant trees. We're kind of compiling all the data that we do have to create a kind of a mapping system and inventory of that, and trying to find money to help support that. So we'll talk about some of the things that we've explored. We'll talk a little bit about how this is going to impact our work with Emerald Ash Borer as well, and how there are potentially some funding opportunities that could come up to help support tree inventories, tree assessment work, and then some resources that the state of Oregon has through the Oregon Department of Forestry that we've been able to partner with them on for tree inventory and canopy assessment. So we'll just give you a brief overview of all of these different things. And then one of our future agenda items, probably in the spring, will be a review of the city's Emerald Ash Borer response plan and mitigation plan. So this will all kind of lead into those topics. Any questions on that one?
Tom, is the canopy assessment different from, the same as, or an extension of the last joint NRC meeting? I believe we had a lengthy conversation about the canopy assessment.
Yes, that's correct. So in our last NRC joint meeting, that was really like right around the time that we were setting commission goals. And there was a lot of conversation about, the need for an urban forestry program, canopy assessments, tree inventories. They all kind of play in together into kind of an urban forest program, which today in the city is kind of managed separately by several different departments. Public Works has street trees, stormwater facilities, parks. We obviously have forests, park trees. And then planning kind of manages the private side of things and the tree removal process. So this goal is really kind of looking at all of these different elements holistically and trying to figure out maybe a better way to do that and to find some potential funding that would just make all of those processes more efficient and increase canopy in the city of Oregon City.
Okay.
Years ago, Metro did a infrared
That's what I'm thinking of.
photography of the whole general area, and I don't know if they've done it recently or not, but but they used to be really involved in the overall canopy for the metro area. So
Yep.
I'm assuming that you've reached out to them or have, I mean, I know it's impossible to staff every metro meeting you can, but it was really kind of neat to see that LiDAR thing that they did put together, and it was really easy to evaluate your canopy. So probably even going years back to find the first, if they still have it, or if, I don't know if you guys have a copy of it or not, but, and then you could compare to that one, which would be pretty, kind of a neat exercise.
Yeah, we do have access to that data. That most of that data is publicly available, and then we have contacts with Metro staff. And then this software that we're going to show you from the state is called Tree Plotter. It's from a company called Planet Geo. It's actually free to us through the Oregon Department of Forestry. It allows for just for kind of baseline, tree inventory is a specific tree, right? Like there is an ash tree. It is this big. It is this old. It's very specific. Canopy assessment is more like the coverage of canopy in the area. This software can do both. We are starting to implement the inventory portion of that software. And kind of once we get through that, we'll start to look at the assessment canopy side of that. And so all of that data feeds into that, which is really cool.
Looking at private property as well, or just public properties?
That's actually, I think, one of the questions that we want to ask the group. Right now, we are focused mainly on the publicly owned properties that we have, but these are just overhead aerial imagery. We can look at the city as a whole.
So Tom, what is the goal for this survey? Is it to plant more trees, or is it to come up with an average of what we should have compared to what we have?
It's really to set a baseline. So today we don't have like an urban forestry plan like you see in some other jurisdictions that kind of sets goals and targets. We operate, kind of independently. All three departments operate independently. We're all kind of working to increase tree canopy, but there really is no set goal. So I think really ultimately what we want to see come out of this is kind of a goal. What is the city's goal to increase tree canopy? What is the city's tree canopy today? Is that acceptable? Do we want to increase that? What is the goal for urban forestry in Oregon City?
I just want to add a little bit of context from the NRC meetings that we've been having recently about doing a tree inventory. There are benefits of doing canopy analysis kind of on the citywide level in terms of federal funding. There's emergency funds that can only be made available if there's a documented loss. So for something like emerald ash borer, we would need to have thoroughly documented instances of ash trees in Oregon City to then be eligible for grants that help to mitigate the damages done by losing those trees. And so even if no clear goals are initially kind of established, there is kind of like a long-term benefit of being able to track these changes over time and then be eligible for ongoing funding.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you for the context.
Any other comment? All right, B City, Tree City, we are on to Metro Community Choice Program presentation, please.
So this will take probably the majority of our meeting next time. Obviously, we'll have a discussion in the beginning about these other two items, and then we'll kind of turn it over to the Metro staff. So we've talked about this program briefly for the members that are returning, for the new members. Metro has a very unique grant program operating in our area right now, which is called the Community Choice Grant Program. And it's really unique in the way that it kind of solicits projects. Typically, it's kind of what we just saw with the developer, where we're coming to you with a plan. This is really kind of flipping that on its head, and it goes to the community first and says, what do you want in parks, and what do you think the park should look like? So that process has been running for almost a year now in our area. There are, if I remember off the top of my head, there are 18 projects that have made it through their various voting phases in Oregon City. They're spread all throughout the jurisdiction. They include playground improvements, natural area improvements, pollinator gardens, all sorts of different things. If you go to their website, you can see kind of what that map looks like. We'll send a link, especially to the new members, so you get that information as well. But we're kind of getting to the meat and potatoes of this. We have a refined list of projects here in Oregon City. The landscape architect on the Metro team has been working, taking the feedback that they've received at these other design workshops, and they have some concepts that they want to share with you and the community. It's not going to be this type of kind of dais setting. It's going to be a lot more free-flowing. The public will be invited. There'll be tables. So basically the way we're going to work this is we're going to kind of have like a regular meeting and then adjourn it and start kind of a work session meeting. And really, it'll be your opportunity to go around, talk with the landscape architects, talk with Metro staff, talk with our staff, learn more about each of these individual projects, and hear from the community as well, and then provide feedback. So really unique, should be a very cool meeting.
Sounds so fun.
Yes. More information coming, but
Where is this joint meeting located?
We were going to get to that.
Sorry.
It will likely take place up at Robert Libkey, the police department and court building. I will confirm that, but that's what we're looking at right now, just because the size of the group when we combine with NRC.
I just want to confirm, Corey, when you say, that's the main building, right? So that wouldn't be the one that it's usually at across the street, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, it's not at community development, they're on the very corner. It is
Okay.
actually where you would go in to talk to a police officer.
Okay, thank you.
This is where our city commission meetings
Yes.
occur, in the big chambers there, yeah.
And do we have a general date? I'm sorry that I don't have that in front of me.
it's February 26th.
Yeah, it will still be our regular PRAC
It's
day.
right here.
Yeah.
Tim pointed out. Thank you.
I wasn't going to say it publicly.
It's fine. I'll embarrass myself. Don't worry about it.
Excellent. Any final notes on Tom's presentation on those three things before we move to the project updates portion of our business?
I just have a quick note that I need to leave at 8. I have a family commitment, so I don't want to interrupt anybody while they're presenting, but I'm just going to sign off at 8. I'm sorry to leave early.
No worries. Thank you for letting us know,
Miss you.
Emily.
Yeah, thanks, Emily.
Let's go through project updates.
Yeah, so just, we want to give you an update on the status of our major project initiatives that you've heard about, or those of you that are on the committee, have been on the committee, know about. So the first is, and I'm going to talk about the first, and then Tom will talk about the last three, and I'm going out of order for what's on your agenda, but the pool and EOT planning process, that's our forward-looking future planning for what are we going to do with our aquatic facility, which is 60 years old. This is actually being celebrated on Saturday, by the way. If you weren't already aware, we're having a 60th party for the Oregon City Pool. 2 o'clock is kind of the start of the programmatic part of things, and of course you're all invited, and as is the whole community. So being that the pool is 60 years old, that's old in aquatic terms, and the commission has made it a priority for us to kind of begin the process of what's next with that. What's next with that building? Are we looking at, an aquatic and rec center with the components that are recreational, not just aquatic? Where might that be located? What would that look like? And then we're combining this under one consultant agreement with also planning for what's the future of the end of the Oregon Trail site. That facility, the interpretive center, is 30 years old, and it's certainly showing its age, and we're getting to that point too where the commission wanted to prioritize this as one of their goals, to say let's consider what the future is there. What do we want to do with the existing buildings? Do we want to expand any of the footprint of anything, or whatever that might look like? So we're bringing those together under one contract. Emily was part of our selection committee and represented this committee on that group. That committee went through the process with requests for proposals. We received 5 proposals.
5.
And the committee made a recommendation for a preferred consultant. We are still in contract negotiation with that consultant. This is a big project, and it's it's taking us some time to kind of work through the scope. And so our hope is that we would bring that contract forward to our city commission for approval in the month of February. And then we'll begin kind of working through launching that process. A lot of public facing work will be done there, outreach in the community. And of course, PRAC will be very involved in that project. We'll bring you updates and we'll invite your feedback and provide opportunities for you to participate in that conversation. So, really, really important forward-looking planning process. So, and then Tom's going to give you some additional project updates here.
So I'll start with our other commission goal for this biennium, which is Clackamette Park. So we're really, we've done a lot of planning processes over the last couple of years on what the future of Clackamette Park looks like. Now we're kind of shifting into design and construction, moving that engineering forward, and really looking at the feasibility of what we can build there. So we have a very unique situation with our recent weather activities where now we have an example of why we should probably fix the boat ramp if you haven't been down there. It's not doing so hot after the Clackamas kind of overflowed. So we've engaged AKS Engineering and Forestry to kind of walk us through that next phase. So the first phase of their work will be taking that master plan. They've been out surveying the area, getting good topographic survey, doing a lot of updated arborist work, identifying significant trees, building off what we've already done. And next step will be taking those master plan designs, creating some feasibility level designs of here's what we can build, here's where we think the boat ramp should be located. At some point in the next month or so, they'll be doing borings into the river to identify locations for the boat ramp that could support that. They've been doing some geotechnical work. They'll continue their work over the next couple months, and then we'll present a feasibility level design to PRAC and City Commission for approval. And really our goal is to hone in, we've got this big vision for the park. Now it's time to really decide these elements, where they go, what we're building, and move that on to 30, 60, 90% design for the park and get that to construction. Any questions on that one? Very exciting.
It's just so exciting to see some progress when we've talked about it for 2 years. So thank you so much. Well, the 2 years I've been here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. For this next one, Corey, do you want to bring up the Wesley Lynn?
Okay.
Yeah. So for returning members, we've been talking about the Wesley Lynn Dog Park for just over a year now, I think. For new members, we've had this idea. One of the elements in the park's master plan that was highly desired by the community was new dog parks. If you think about Wesley Lynn, there's the heavily developed side that's on Frontier Parkway. That's where the baseball fields are, the soccer fields, restroom, all that. We have the unfenced dog park on the other side, on the Leland Avenue side, and there's Redaway Avenue there, you see right next to it. So we are proposing and have talked to the community about proposing a new fenced dog park there. So what you're seeing now is the refined site plan based on several meetings with the community, with PRAC. Basically our general feedback throughout the whole process has been more, bigger, do more, do bigger. So this is probably the largest dog park we can fit in there. The large dog area is 1.65 acres. For reference, TSW is about 1 acre. So just the large area alone is larger. The small timid dog area, which you see kind of that ellipses there at near Redaway Avenue. Yep. That's 0.23 acres, and both sections would have covered seating, benches, areas. It's some of the lessons that we learned from TSW, making sure that people have areas to get out of the rain and they don't bring their own. And then one of the things that we heard actually from some of the kind of the ad alternates that if we can support it with the budget, some dog agility courses, and we actually found these really cool like precast, they're like nature play, but for dogs. So it's like precast logs and stuff for them to jump on. So we've included that in this site plan as well. And then we've, kind of your traditional amenities, trash cans, pet waste dispensers, paving, site paving to get to and from the different areas, the gates, all that kind of stuff. This will also include a stormwater improvement that will improve the usability of this space. So if you think where Redaway Avenue is, there's a very large stormwater swale there. That swale just open drains out into this field and creates a very wet area in the rainy season. This project will include piping that stormwater connection to the stormwater connection on the other side, which is an existing wetland. So we're actually improving the water quality. It's not going into the dog park, which then runs into the wetland. This will also prevent dogs from entering the wetland because now it'll be fenced and they won't run in there. Do their business.
Just a quick question for virtual. Is it possible to enlarge the green space picture right now? I'm just seeing the email as the larger picture and it's kind of hard to see.
Oh, yeah, let's see what I can do here.
There we go. Oh,
Okay.
there we go. Thank you.
You can see that? You can see that, Emily?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Sorry.
great.
Thank you.
As part of this project, there will also be restoration planting between the fenced area and the wetlands, so it'll actually expand the planted area out into the field as well.
Is there more than one entryway?
There are 3 entryway total, so each gray square that you see is an entryway. This actually came directly from community feedback as well.
Right.
We originally proposed 2, one that connects where the neighborhood is up there at the top, and then one kind of where the paths connect, and the community really wanted a 3rd entrance that kind of came off the Leland side of the park.
And do I remember correctly that much of this is done with grant work, correct?
That's correct. So
Grant dollars?
we've been working with Metro for the Metro local share, and we have shoehorned our way into getting this project funded. There are certain components that just don't meet their bond eligibility. Overall, I think the total project estimate is somewhere in the 400,000 range. And about 60 to 80,000 of that is unfunded by Metro. So the component that would be the dog agility course. I tried. The separation fence between the large dog and the small and timid dog area are really the 2 components that they just couldn't find a way to do. But this is an expansion of use, so we can use SDCs towards that project. There's also the potential for sponsorship. This project actually started with a potential sponsor back in the day. The original cost of it was too much for them to support, but they might be willing to support some of the smaller components.
And I know this was in the CIP we had recently, but do you know what the estimated completion for this project is? I know it's higher up in our priority lists.
Yes, so we are taking the Metro local share agreement to commission very soon, hopefully in the month of February. Once that is approved, we are kind of fully funded to go forward and do this. We'll do some more community outreach just to, verify that this is what we want. And we have a contract ready to go for the construction documentation and bidding support. And our hope is that we're going to construct this summer and have this nice.
It has nothing to do with my family getting a dog for the first time in a few months, so.
Well, congratulations.
And funny enough, my wife had asked me, is there going to be an agility course in this park? When I told her that this might get made soon, so she's going to be pumped about that.
I'm sure there will be more questions or comments, but I just want to say again, only 2 years here on the committee, but the work that you all have done in listening to the community and then really putting it into action and also listening to your PRAC members here. I remember Emily gave really good thinking around protecting the wildlife and protecting that
Restoration area.
that restoration areas, exactly. I just want to commend you all for really listening and creating something that looks like it's going to be pretty amazing. So really nice work. Thank you so much for your service here.
And I think this is going to fit really well with the the planning of that entire area. I think it's going to flow really well with the parking on that side, and of course where the rest of that park is for Wesley Lynn. So I'm excited to see that. That'll be great.
I think also the multiple entryways will make it
Great
easier
idea.
for when you go to maintain it, so you can rope half of it off and reseed and do some of those things and still have access. So I think, more than anything, dog areas almost have to be treated like athletic fields as far as drainage, sand, top dressing, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's just a fact of life. And, you know, when you fence an area, that also concentrates that use. And so, it's good to see that you have a lot of different ways to get in there, and then definitely it'll be easier to oversee and do some of those things later.
So there is irrigation in this area?
There is no irrigation in this section of the park, and we're not proposing any now. It's well-established grass, so we would have to, kind of to Ken's point, we would have to adjust our maintenance over time to do that. There are 16-foot maintenance gates kind of scattered throughout so that we can get in there and do that maintenance.
Is there water for dogs there?
There is no water currently. That would be an improvement we would want to do in the future.
But they could use the shack that's in Wesley Lynn Park, like
It's
20
not
yards.
very far.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, people bring their own normally.
Yeah.
They'll drag up a swimming pool in there.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Great.
There was
Great.
also like a spreadsheet type thing.
Oh, no, that's
Okay,
that's for the grant.
Got it.
All right, so let's move on to Chapin Park Playground, and I am very excited about this.
There's a few.
Best
There
place
are a
ever.
few, so
You guys chose the right meeting to start.
So this has been another hot topic of conversation is, you know, the Chapin Park Playground is one of the oldest playgrounds that we have in our system. It's starting to get to the point where we cannot replace parts. We are manufacturing parts, we are, you know, fabricating parts, we are putting new parts in to try to fix it. So we've been working with a design consultant with Northwest Playground and with our maintenance team to come up with two options. And the reason we have two kind of themes here. So the one that you're seeing on your screen is very farm themed. As you can see, it really focuses on this large barn element. And I will say, and Corey, I sent you a link to a
Yes.
website. It's hard to tell from this rendering, and so when we're done showing you this, we'll show you the actual photo of what this barn looks like. This is a very large structure. This is like 2 stories tall. There's all sorts of fun stuff to do on the inside. It is a really cool structure. But because of that farm theme, you can see we did a themed swing set as well with the irrigation for the side. There's little chicken climbers, there's I think a pig climber in there. This would be our first park with synthetic turf as the safety surfacing. And it would have this kind of like water theme through it. And so there are 2 versions of this. There are lots of accessible elements as well. There are 2 versions of this, one with a fence, one without. One of the recommendations we had from the playground designers from an accessibility standpoint was fencing the playground. So we're going to take both of those options to the community and show them. If you want to scroll down to the overhead. Yeah. So this would propose moving the play area from its existing location, which is kind of a depression and becomes a lake in the winter when it's wet. So this is essentially the area where the small tot area is today. So we calculated the existing play area when you include both play structures is right around like 8,500 square feet of play area. This option would put us somewhere around 9,800 square feet. So it's an expansion of play area. It's a bigger play area, and it's all condensed in one location. So this would replace both play structures that are currently there. We would leave the swing set, the existing swing set that's kind of off to the side. We would leave that as a secondary option for folks if they wanted to go off and do that. And that would remain just kind of bark chips and regular maintenance. And then do you want to jump to the nature play?
I want to see it.
Yeah, this is, let's show this one with the fence so you can see kind of what that would look like as well. This one's even larger. So this is This is a nature theme. This is very similar to like the play structures that you see at TSW. It's got that kind of log climber element. There's a lot of different features throughout this. And then it has these fun little animals. You can see there's a snail in there, there's a whale, bunch of different like kind of wooden structures that are made out of black locust for maintenance purposes, and a little log cabin. This gives you an idea of what that would look like fully fenced with a gateway, so that it has kind of a single entry point. And this play structure, if we went with this option, this would be somewhere in the 11,000 square feet of play. So a much bigger play structure. So regardless of which option we choose, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be better. Both of them have the turf for the safety surfacing. We have about 400,000 programmed for this. This is within our budget. So next steps will be community outreach, hearing feedback from you. Again, tonight's just kind of introductory. We'll send these out to you and let you kind of stew on these, and we'll come back in March and talk to the community over the spring and start to get plans for what we want to finally build on Chapin. And just for fun, can we look at
That link?
the big barn? Yeah.
So you scrolled through a lot of photos of that other one that I'd love to see.
Yes, there are a lot of renderings. We're gonna send you the whole design.
I was gonna say, can we get this emailed to us tonight or this week?
Let's see.
That will also have like the site plan, so one of the pictures in there is an aerial showing what this would look like on Chapin Park. So you'll see it with a satellite image and get an idea of what that looks like.
Let's see if this will.
So process-wise, what made you come up with Play World and Northwest Playground? Is that just?
We started talking with several different vendors. This one was particularly, they are, from what I understand, they're the only ones who offer this create play. And so this was a really unique kind of custom molded. This element, the barn, is actually like it's an off-the-shelf product that they use in a variety of different settings. But that's really where we started. And then through the Metro Community Choice Program, Chapin was actually identified as a park that would be eligible for a nature play component. And so then we added a nature play element to that because they could potentially fund an even larger play structure.
Do you have other Play World equipment?
We do, yeah.
That has treated you well?
Yeah, we've gone through Northwest Playground for a variety of different playgrounds. I can't remember off the top of my head which ones. But yeah, and I've used them at other agencies as well.
Thank you. Seeing the barn like that lowers my worries that I had in a lot of events, just as a parent.
Honestly, that was one of our concerns as well. Even in our design meetings, we were worried about like visibility, sight lines, all that. When you see it in person, it makes a lot more sense. It's very well slatted. You can see through this. It's very cool.
Is it plastic lumber?
No, this is like roto molded. I'm not 100% sure on the full materials, but it's like roto molded plastic basically.
It looks like a steel inner structure.
Yes. Yeah, and it all kind of bolts together. This would be a new product for us. We have not done a create play before. They're relatively new on the scene.
What's the timeline on the public outreach? I assume you kind of share both ideas, nature play and this creative play.
Yep. Yeah, so we're kind of timing this with the Metro Community Choice Program as well. They've seen the nature play component and are kind of incorporating that into their design for their project. We're scheduling neighborhood association meetings for the spring, this coming spring. So ideally, we'll be back here kind of late spring with feedback from the community, get your feedback on the final designs, and then we'll go try to get this funded.
I find it, just a little aside, I find it a little difficult to know when those meetings are happening and or when our space, like when we could be a part of it. This is one that I'd really love to be able to attend, to be able to hear myself from what the neighborhood associations say. So if there's a way to include either calendar updates or just an email or something to let folks know when they're happening. And I know that this is on me, I should be able to look these things up, but I also miss them. So this is one that I feel pretty passionately about, and I'd love to be a part of.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
So I'm
Thank you
not-
so much.
So it's not a complete movie. I was just saying, there's a place, if you get a chance, look up the Gathering Place. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's got a lot of that type of structures in the, I think there's like 6 or 7 giant playgrounds in there that was all built with private money. It was about half a $500 million park, but it is just amazing.
Yeah.
And really cool structures in there, but a lot of them do remind me of that barn. So it's not a completely tried or untried concept, so.
Nice.
Excited with that.
Also, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, so just some of my thoughts on the designs. I love that we're expanding the space. I love the turf that's there. What thoughts, so as somebody who's been to Chapin Park a lot, what thoughts have been given to the amount of sunlight that place gets? Because in the summer, that park is unusable for 6-7 hours. And looking at the barn, and I'm just gonna be direct, I am not for nature parks. It's just not one of my favorite designs that are out there. But for the barn portion, is there any idea of what kind of heat that would be there? I love the idea of a covered structure that won't get the direct sunlight, the shade that would be in that, and I can see why that design would be used there given that. But just wanted to get your thoughts on that portion of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point of feedback and something we'll ask the playground designers just to make sure. We had originally included some shade structures as well in this. Just cost-wise, we had to pick and choose.
Yeah.
But that could be an element that we prioritize more, especially if we hear that more from you and from the public. We were looking at some of the kind of like the butterfly sails that you see.
Yeah, I've
They're
seen
like,
those, yeah.
they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
A couple different options there. It's definitely a consideration. The other one is drainage. That's one of the elements we really want to focus on with this project, is making sure that this is going to drain properly, that it's not going to create a lake in the future.
Do you have any other parks with the artificial turf?
No, this will be our first one. Yep.
We just built the Concord School, and we used Northwest Playground and their turf people, and we had some issues with the turf. So I'd be happy to go with your maintenance guys and check out
That'd be great.
and show them what we have over there.
Yeah.
Just
that'd
some
be
of
great.
the issues we've had.
We also heard, we looked at Cook Park over in Tigard, and one of the things we heard from them was they were like, they had to like vacuum the turf occasionally, which was
That
weird.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to, it's not maintenance free either. You have to, so is the safety surface below it, so it's not gonna be a sand and rubber mix like on a athletic field?
That's what we would hope to do, yeah. So,
Well, I'm sorry, then I guess I didn't understand. What do you hope to do, the sand and rubber, or
so
completely
we
underneath
would
the
be
turf?
looking to install basically new drainage underneath, and we
Right.
would work with an engineering firm to design that. So it would probably be pretty close to what you see on an athletic field, yeah.
So then that does, you have to test it and do all of the other things to maintain it, which is always kind of just one more thing, but. But at least athletic field guys know how to install turf,
I know what they're doing.
so that might be the answer,
Yeah.
is just to or separate that out to somebody else if.
I would recommend keeping it as flat as you can.
Yes, that's why we chose Chapin.
Yeah.
I also lean on the side with Tim here of not being a huge fan of nature play, but I understand everyone has their own ideas. Has there been, or do we plan to do any outreach specifically to the folks that utilize the Tyrone S. Woods Park to see how they feel about the current nature play and how that serves the community, to see if we might have opinions on how that might work or not work in Chapin?
That's a good question. Hadn't thought about that. So that might be an opportunity with the Metro Community Choice Grants as well, because there are a variety of nature play projects proposed through that. So I imagine we'll get a lot of feedback from the community through that process, and then we can kind of target that more on users who are using those kind of play structures right now. What do you think about them?
Or like the surrounding neighborhoods. Like,
Exactly.
for example, again, just a personal experience. Tyrone S. Woods is one of my closest parks. I live right with Ken here. And we don't go to that park because it is not fun for my kiddo. She doesn't have any fun at all. So
It's hard for little kids.
it's hard for kids. She's 7 and she
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
like it. So just a thought to see if maybe around the surrounding neighbors too, to see if they've experienced a nature play park. Because oftentimes I think they look so cool, especially that one. It looked like you had a big piece of ginger in the middle of it. It was really neat. But in use and practicality, I just haven't seen a lot of positive feedback.
Development of Tyrone S. Woods Park is what inspired me to join this committee, to be honest with you. And I won't go into strong detail on that portion, but I understand it's easy to maintain, it's a lot easier to break down, there's a lot less elements that you have to worry about. But yes, as just a member of this committee and a citizen, I would very strongly not go for that kind of park again for the next newest parks. That's been the most recent one, besides Hazel Grove, that we've kind of redone recently. I would just stress that if you've ever been to Chapin Park, just the heat, what is the turf heat gonna absorb? What kind of shade? Because you can't use that park right now for the best parts of the summer just because of how hot it gets. It's in the morning, it's in the evening, it is not between like noon and 7. So any design that goes into Chapin has to take that into account of just the amount of sunlight it gets because it cooks over there. We almost always go to Rivercrest or Wesley, Lynn, or any of the other ones that actually have shade elements built in. And it's just a struggle of that site specifically.
As long as we're looking at alternative playground sets, the spiderweb kind of designs, like the one they have over in Hallinan Park, this big huge pyramid that they climb up, or there's another one over in Creston Park, and these are very popular. Kids of all ages are playing in those, and it seems to be more popular than the nature parks, which aren't my favorite either.
Are you thinking kind of like the geodome that we have over at Park Place kind of structure?
Yeah, I think that's what he means. We were at a park in Sherwood, and it was similar to where it was like 3 different levels, and it had a smaller level for the kids, and it was all just the ropes and the climbing areas that you could do, and it was a lot of fun. It's still easy to maintain, but just something that I think we need more of. I know Park Place has it, but I think it'd be fun to have a bigger climbing structure like that as a part of it.
No moving parts.
No moving parts. Any other comments or thoughts on the Chapin Park playground that was presented to us today?
I'm just excited to see something.
Yes.
Get it moving.
That is old, that's an old one, so.
Go now.
I kind of agree, though. I think nature play has its place in certain types of parks, so, but, when you're surrounded by, Chapin's wide open. And so it's not really what I would call a kind of an area that would attract nature play as much as, say, a different park.
Good point.
But and the turf itself generates an awful lot of heat too, so I guess that's just another concern, so, chips are hard to maintain, but they don't generate the heat, so, lots of that to consider. But anyway, move on.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
we
exciting.
appreciate the feedback. It's helpful.
Really do, yeah.
Keep going.
Very excited to see all this. It's like the best meeting we've had in 5 years.
Definitely the best meeting.
We're spoiling Karen and Kevin here. They don't even know. Any final thoughts, comments on any of the parks or project updates that Tom had? Or Tom, do you have any other comments or things that you'd like to do on that?
No, just stay tuned. We'll give you more information, especially we'll keep you apprised of any neighborhood association meetings, so you can come out and hear from the community as well as we move forward.
And can we get those emailed to us just so we can take a look at what was sent in?
We'll send you both the Wesley Lynn Dog Park and the Chapin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we can move on. So it's not into our agenda, but I'm going to add it in for member reports.
You would think I would learn my lesson by now.
Look, I wasn't going to.
You can say it, Tim.
I wasn't going to say that it hasn't been added on still, but I wasn't going to add that in here. It's been a good
This
meeting.
next time, I'm gonna really surprise you.
I'll be excited for that.
Past member updates.
But, so just as noted, it's not in the agenda. This will be a time for member reports. If anyone's been in the community, has just something that they want to say to the public about the parks, any of the staff they've interacted with, this is a good time for that, to give shout outs or recommendations. Tim West?
I have a comment. I heard that the community youth sports was, or is going to be eliminated from the schools. And is that something that the city could go ahead and sponsor. So what it is for indoor sports of basketball and volleyball for, grade schoolers. This is something that seems like a very critical spoke in kids' lives to grow up with sports. So it'd be a shame to see that kind of activity leave. I was wondering if indeed you've heard anything as far as that being the truth.
I'm not sure about the validity of that, whether, what the intent of that program would be, but what I can tell you is, regardless of that potential scenario, I've had a couple of conversations with the school district about just the idea of would Parks and Recreation want to take over the youth sports program that is currently run through community education or community schools. I don't know specifically about plans to eliminate that from the school district budget or, programs, but just conversation about would that make sense to come over to Parks and Rec. So that's an opportunity for us to explore that conversation.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was just saying, those types of activities would be nice in a new rec center.
Very nice.
Great.
Speaking of that, my report, being able to be a part of some of those selections of those, the organizations to support that, the community rec center and the aquatic center. I want to compliment our team here. You were very thorough, very professional. And I thought that you did a great job vetting the teams and asking all the correct questions. I want to compliment you all. So thank you. Also, thank you for allowing us to be part of that process.
Excellent. Any other member reports that are out there? I think it's been 3 months since I've been here. I could go through 100 things, but the parks, every time I've been there, it's been excellent. I thought the, oh God, I don't even know which details I want to get into on this. I am at the pool 3 times a week, so I wanted to give Melissa a shout out who was here earlier because her staff is just wonderful to deal with at all times. And they handle 100 different elements at that building a lot. And I'm sure they're very excited for when we get the pool project moving. And just general issues with the park have been lessened in the last 3 years that I've been here. Just maintenance issues, things have gone faster. So just in general, just want to give everyone a shout out to Scott, Tom, everyone.
Look how we handled that flooding situation. Incredible.
Oh God, flooding and now no rain. So that is, that is January for us. Any final member reports before we adjourn? Our next scheduled meeting will be February 26th, 2026. We will be in the security building, the police building, for that, and we are adjourned.